G'day YouTube. In today's video, we're going to go through unboxing of my new HALTECH ELITE 1500 ECU. So this is a pretty big moment for me. This is the largest purchase I've done for this car and probably almost every other car except for when I had to rebuild an engine on my GTR. But otherwise, this is the largest expense. It's more than 2.5 times the price of what the car was when I bought it, but well worth it. Actually saved me a lot of money by going with the HALTECH because I can use this computer in all of my future projects. So in this video, we're going to unbox them together. Now here they are here. These are the parts that I have. So a HALTECH ELITE 1500 ECU, a wideband O2 sensor so I can run on E85 and also get a much better readout of the fuel system and what it's doing, whether I'm running rich or lean. And then the wiring kit. So there's 2.5 meters of wiring here with all the plugs. That's the most daunting part for me. I'm not a really big wiring guy, so we're going to go through those in just a moment. I also have a full set of 4 RACEWORKS fuel injectors, which I'm going to have to put in. Those are 1100 cc injectors. We also have a ton of fittings for the oil catch can system. I've got some silicon hose. Now that's for the map sensor and the fuel pressure regulator, and that's also from RACEWORKS. And I've got some oil hose here. This has the -10 fitting for the back of the engine and the oil breather for the crankcase. And then I've got a couple of meters of -8 oil line, and I'll use this for the oil breather. So here we have some E85 compatible push lock hose, -8. I've already put one of the push lock fittings on there just to have a play around. I got a bit excited, but that's for the oil breather out of the top of the rocker cover, and the -10 hose, that's for the breather on the back of the engine. All right, so in today's video, we better get stuck into that. I will be putting the injectors in the car and I'm going to start to do my study and research on how I'm going to wire the engine harness into the HALTECH. So get all that out of the road first. Put that over there. Have a sip of coffee. All right, so the big package here, this is the harness from HALTECH, and it comes with all of the wires. It's 2.5 meters long. Firstly, I was a bit scared of this, but then I had another look at it, and there's probably 20 or 30 wires there, so not that scary. But when you see all these giant plugs, it does get a bit worrying. So move that off to the side. Now this is the wideband O2 sensor. This is what you need to be able to properly control all of your fuel settings on the car. Standard cars come with a narrow band which only sort of measures a very small window of fuel and air ratio. So if your car is running leaner or richer than what it's set for, it's not going to tell the difference. So you need to run one of these. So what we've got in here is the controller. Everything's nice and solid and very heavy and expensive feeling. Comes with a plug there at the end, and this is all heat proof, so that can go in the engine bay. The actual sensor itself, it's got a whole bunch of wires there which is doing all the reading for us. And then that's the sensor there from HALTECH, and they've already crimped everything on and put all the heat proofing, so that's not going to melt or anything, so they've done a really good job with that. There's another bag in here. That's a extension harness from the computer to this control box, and that looks like the same sort of thing. Not really sure. And then we have the quick startup guide on how to work everything and what it all does. So I'm going to read all of these things front to back very thoroughly because I've got no clue what I'm doing. It also comes with a nice heavy duty stainless steel weld on bung. I'm going to keep that for the K-swap. This one's just going to go where the previous sensor was. Hopefully that fits, but I can't see why it wouldn't. So we'll put all that back and move that off to the side. All right, so this is the big boy. This is the 1500 ELITE ECU. So I'll just take that cover off there first. Rip these seals open. And there we go, in all its glory. Now I've got a cord, that's the one you need when you're tuning. A USB, now I'm not sure what's on that. Maybe some files on how to get all that running. And then this here is the big boy that's going to run everything. Map sensor, which will allow the car to run up to 29 PSI, which we're not going to go anywhere near at the moment. And then in here is where you plug in your accessories, your USB, I'm not sure what that's called, and then this is for the wideband controller, and that's all watertight, so I'm told. In the box we have a wiring diagram which I will study to the max. So that's got everything there. Quick startup guide again. And a sticker, which is definitely going to go on the car somewhere. And all of that is quite daunting for someone who is very novice at wiring things into cars. So I can't wait to get stuck into that. But firstly, in today's video, we're going to take the RACEWORKS 1100cc injectors. Here's one that I've test fitted already and put all the adapters on. This is how they come brand new in the box. Direct from QUICKBITZ in Dandenong as a RACEWORKS supplier. So it's quite a lot shorter. To fit any application, you need to take the extension and press onto there. I've also put a spacer O-ring which seals on my inlet manifold. And then we also have to do some more wiring. So this is the end that goes on there. I've got to put this spacer O-ring on this end. And then we have a whole bunch of these. These are for the injector plugs, which I also got from QUICKBITZ. And these are crimp-on one, and then they push in there and then obviously connect onto the injector, just like that. And the reason why I'm going to tackle the injectors first is because I need some familiarity. I need to go and do something with my hands where I'm doing this and not so much wiring and soldering, just to warm up. I'm a bit nervous about all of this. I still need to do a lot of study. I'm probably going to spend all afternoon and this evening studying the wiring diagrams, working out what I need to keep, what I don't need to keep, what I can get away with splicing into the factory loom. So what I have is this. This is the factory guts out of a factory Honda ECU. The wires on the end are just for my reference. They're all the different colors of what everything does and where it goes to, so I can match them up with the correct pin on here. My initial plan is to take these wires and match those up to these pins and then just use the rest of my factory harness. Now with the wideband O2, I won't be able to use that harness, so I'll be running that through into the car, and also with the map sensor wires. So this vacuum line will need to come into the car, so I'll be running that separately. But otherwise, that's my plan. I will need to run separate wires for these injectors because the Haltech can control each individual injector, whereas the Honda runs 1 and 4 off one wire, and then they split, and then that will fire at the same time, and also 2 and 3 off a second wire, and then that gets to the engine and splits and controls each injector that way. So they run 2 injectors at a time because of the firing order of the 4-cylinder engine, whereas the Haltech can control everything individually. So I'm going to do that, save chopping different wires, and we'll need to run some heavy duty wires to these so it's got the right amps and volts and doohickeys. Alright guys, so here is a sneak peek preview at a future video. I'm not sure where this is going to sit in the timeline of the videos and how you're going to see them, because I'm really scared about doing the wiring, but we'll get to there. We have a front and a rear sway bar setup with rear lower control arms for the Civic. Now this is top of the range, top shelf white line gear. I saw a special sale on this on eBay and I snatched it up. It was only a little bit more expensive than cheap knockoffs. So I got the Australian made, designed, tested and proven white line kit, and that will be going on the Civic because we are definitely going to be needing some more handling in the future. All right, so out to the car. Going to play around, do a bit of mechanical stuff first. I'm still very nervous about the ECU. So what I'm going to do is pull the fuel rail off, pull the old injectors out, undo all of these plugs, and move that harness out of the road just for now. And I'm also going to take Stix's advice, because the 1150cc injectors are a little bit longer than these ones, so only by about 1 millimeter or 2. So I'm going to stick some washers underneath these stands here, and then that's going to allow me to get that extra clearance that I need. So I'm going to put this onto the time lapse and you can watch me get that sorted, and I'll stop as I need to. So I've fitted the injectors in. I've put 2 washers in between the injector rail stand there and there, which has given me a little bit of space for the extra length of the injectors. That's down firmly now and nice and tight. Everything looks like it's sealed perfectly. So what I'm going to do now is just turn the accessories on the car. I can't start it, obviously they're not wired in, they're not connected, so it won't run. But I just want to make sure that there's no fuel is going to come squirting out of any of these ports. So just give me one moment. All right, so that's all pressurized and primed. No fuel coming out past the tops of those hats or from underneath them into the top of the injector. So that's all sweet to go. Now, just for a little bit of playing around, I'm going to take my RACEWORKS -8 fittings and I'm going to show you how they look sitting on there. All right, so I'll just pull those out. Now I got the straight fittings because they cost less and I'm a tight ass, but they're going to go onto there like so. And hopefully that's going to clear the bonnet, so I'm just going to try that. Otherwise I'll just have to take it back and swap it for a 90. This one's sitting a little bit close for my comfort, so I might switch that one to a 90 and then point that over to the side. Oh yeah, she's coming together. They'll be push locked on there, and then once tightened down, I see the RACEWORKS. You've got RACEWORKS on every injector, RACEWORKS fittings. Okay, so there's that part done. Now off to study the wiring diagrams on the car and work out what to do with these injector plugs and start thinking about wiring in the Haltech. But she's getting there, boys. Won't be long now. I'm probably going to call it there. So that was part 1. We fitted the injectors, we spaced out the injector fuel rail and put all those fittings on, test fitted those. The catch can should be ready by early next week. I'm going to get stuck into studying the wiring diagrams, studying all the Haltech information, and I'm going to get onto learning all I can about wiring in a hurry so I can get that sorted and hopefully start the car within the next 7 days. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, wiring in the Haltech. And make sure you take your fuel soaked stinky finger and gently press the like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.